After the Trojan War and the fall of Troy, when Odysseus, a man who was liked by the gods and a Greek warrior, was attempting to return to his homeland of Ithaca, his ship was blown off course by Poseidon and Athena, who were angered at the Greeks for their ignorance of the prophetess Cassandra's warning of the happenings in the war. This wreck then created the adventures that Odysseus later had. For the war and problems returning home, it had been over 20 years, and his son Telemachus was beginning to grow older, and his wife Penelope was being besieged by suitors who thought he was dead due to his lack of return. Penelope still had faith and wanted to stay loyal, so she would push them off. Athena soon forgets the grudge and goes to the gods to help him return. She disguises herself as a mentor and helps Telemachus build a ship to sail to the Nestors to get answers. Odysseus makes a makeshift raft and attempts to go home again, but Poseidon sees him and unleashes storm on him. The kind goddess Ino, who takes pity on Odysseus, helps him by giving him her veil, which protects him from harm by the water. Athena also helps calm the waves. Odysseus swims to the land of the Phaeacians, where he is welcomed kindly by the king Alcinous and his daughter Nausicaa. Then Odysseus's crew encounter the lotus eaters, who convince them to eat the narcotic lotus flower. Odysseus pulls them off the island, and then they sail to find some food and supplies, and find exactly that in a cave. But soon after, the owner, the giant Cyclops Polyphemus, returns and blocks the cave with a giant boulder and eats some of the men. As the only possible way to escape, they get him drunk and poke his only eye out. Then Aeolus, the keeper of the winds, gives Odysseus a leather sack containing the storm winds, which can lead him home safely, and of course his men opened it, unleashing winds, which blow them to the land of the Lilysthians, who were cannibals. At the next stop, they encounter the sorceress Circe, who turns them into pigs, but because of the herbs that Odysseus got from Hermes, she couldn't use her powers on him, so she returned the crew back to humans, and for a year they stayed there. She tells them that in order to get home, they must talk to the dead prophetess Tiresias, who tells them not to harm the oxen belonging to the sun, because terrible things would result from doing so. Circe also tells them not to listen to the sirens as they pass the island of sirens, because they sing which makes men forget everything and leads them to death. So the crew passes the island with wax filled in their ears. But when passing, the curious Odysseus wanted to keep his ears open and got tied to the mast of the boat. After they passed through Scylla and Charybdis, the rock whirlpool that is known for wrecking ships. When they arrive to the island of the sun, the crew decides to eat the oxen when Odysseus is not watching, and because of them doing so, each of them die except for Odysseus. He is then carried to the island of Calypso, where for many years he is held. The Phaeacians then have pity on him and send him home on a ship. After falling asleep on the ship, he wakes on his homeland of Ithaca. Athena helps him find a way to reclaim his wife, so she transforms him into an old beggar. She then reunites him with Telemachus. The son and father then find a way to get rid of the suitors. In order for a suitor to take Penelope, they must shoot through 12 rings. None of them do so, but then Odysseus, still in disguise, gets up and tries, and is able to hit the target perfectly. He then kills every one of the suitors. He gets to talk to his wife after all of the many years spent apart, and they live happily ever after.